I, like I said, studied them for a couple years, stayed faithful to.
Take me along like what those next few years look like and kind of give me the synopsis of how you got to where you are now.
Yeah. So I was in the research and analysis department, and I mean, very quickly, I knew that I wanted to get into sales. Like I told you from my dad, like I feel like I've just been naturally gifted with people skills and relationship skills and like ultimately, I knew that I wasn't like built for the research and analysis department. Like I knew that's not where I was supposed to stay forever. So I got licensed to go sell like pretty quickly within the first few months. And that was pretty crazy too. Like finishing my MBA, having a family of four, going to like studying to get a real estate license and like juggling the job. That was a pretty crazy season, but made it through. And I got my real estate license right away because I knew I wanted to sell. I knew that's where my gifts and abilities were better aligned. And then I started to like, kind of dip my toes in the water or feel that out of like what's it look like. But really just like stayed faithful to where I was called. And that was like the research department, because that was just building my knowledge base. And I was around the guys in the office. Like I would, we were doing like research and analysis on properties for our advisors, for the agents that are buying and selling. So like any chance, man, I would just like, when I would do work for those guys, I would like give them the work that I do for them, but then like, hey man, what are you thinking about this? Like, how are you thinking about this transaction? Or like, and then like they would invite me along to like property tours and take me with them. And like, I would learn from the guys in the office. And I mean, who's crushing it in the business. So like the guys, I mean, I would watch the guys that are making, four, five, six, $700,000 a year. And like, I would try to be around them as much as possible. I would see like, what do they do? Like how do they work? What type of hours do they work? What type of things do they do when they're at work? And really just studied a few people in my office that like, and there's only a couple that like are really, really crushing it. Like, what are they doing? So like I said, studied them for a couple of years, stayed faithful to where I was at in the research department. But ultimately, I mean, that gave me a huge foundation and base understanding of the commercial real estate industry, which was just invaluable to me. Like that, having that was absolutely incredible for like when I actually stepped into sales, because that was, like I said, that was just my understanding. And when it was my time to go sell, when it was my time to shine, like I knew the market like the back of my hand. I knew all of the values. I knew like most of the property owners, all of like the demographics and traffic counts and roadways and systems and like how the commercial real estate market operated. I was doing it for 2 years of like studying it every single day. And a lot of people don't put in that work. A lot of people just want to come in and go sell something and make a big old commission check. Excuse me. But yeah, that was a really good understanding and like foundation for, for me to go and then venture into sales. And then, to answer your question about going into sales, what that looked like, it was scary going into full-time sales for sure. And because this went from like, hey, having an hourly, like a consistent income, to being 1099, 100% commission, completely on my own in a sense. And, I held on to the security for, I don't want to say longer than I should have, because I think timing's worked out perfectly, but I can't give myself credit for like, oh yeah, I just went for it. I decided to like, there was some guys walking me off the plank for sure. Jonathan Barreras, David Hungerford, Dean, Gary, like all of those guys at the firm, they knew that like my gifts and abilities were also like very aligned to sell and like do very well in sales. So it was like inch by inch, but like, cause I was hanging on to that security, but they just like continued to encourage me of like how well I was going to do and that I was going to go crush it. So it was like I said, step by step that I, slowly walked off the plank into 100% commission and full-time sales in commercial real estate. And pretty crazy, man. It was a big leap of faith, big leap of faith to go do that, and a lot of hard work, a lot of trusting God, man. But that that year from going from like research analyst to full-time sales was actually like, it was like a 15 or 17x in my income. Like
Man.
it was nuts, man. It was absolute heaven sent. And yeah, and then after that, it's been just, continuing year over year um, to build the commercial real estate business, before I've, now ventured off into some other things. But that's really how I got my start in commercial real estate, and how I got to where I am today.